This is the whiteboard that I have out in the garage so I can keep track of the to-do list on our 66 Bronco Roadster project. And as you can see, there's several lines of activity there, but lately I've been working on the body. And so I thought today I would just go around that and show you what work's been done. And hopefully in a couple weeks, we're getting ready for prime and paint. And then all the body work will be covered up. But before that happens, I thought I'd just go around at one time and document what work was done. And so up here on this corner, you can see the bodywork filler there at the fender and grill intersection. And there was a big dent there. It happened a long time ago. And it required quite a bit of body work. So I took the fender and grill off and did the metal work and got it straightened out, and just installed them yesterday to check for fit. And they didn't line up very well, and the panel seam looked pretty bad. And so I had been thinking that maybe the best thing to do is just weld the fenders and grill together and make it look like more like a modern body clip, front clip, instead of being three separate pieces. So now the fender and grill are welded together. And if you look over here at this side, at this corner, you can see that weld before the body filler. And that is a pretty darn ugly weld, because I'm just now learning how to do that work, and it's a work in progress at best, but I am getting good use out of this Lincoln Electric MIG welder, so happy to be learning that. But again, it doesn't look very good, but hopefully it gets the job done. And so moving down from the fender and grill area, right here, if you look at this rocker panel down here, this is the structural component that gives strength to the door opening, and it had some rust through and was in pretty poor shape. So I've cut out all of that and replaced it with a piece of factory stamped sheet metal. And then up here, the floor pan, again, there was a fair amount of rust in that area, so that's all been cut out and replaced with some store-bought factory stamped sheet metal. And then in the seat area, we ended up putting a rail across there to support the seat. The original Bronco seats had a leg that came down off the corner of the seat and supported it, and that seat wasn't adjustable or anything. So the new seat slides back and forth, so we ended up building a little rail support there. And then on down here, you can see the wheel arch at the rear wheel has been cut out. And that was a real common mod back in the day, because the original Broncos came out with kind of skinny, smaller tires, and guys wanted to put bigger, fatter tires on there, so they ended up cutting out the wheel wells to accomplish that. And we're going to try to get that back to looking factory. And that's the shop dog. And so towards that end, we've been working on that today. So I made a pattern out of cardboard that shows what the arch should be, and then shows what area's been cut out. And I got some 1/2-inch square tubing here, and I just used the torch and a couple of bolts here on the workbench to bend that square tubing to fit this profile. So that's what's going on here with the oxyacetylene torch. And I borrowed a bread pan to cool that off, and I got a coffee cup full of water there. That's in case there's a fire. But so far that's all turned out pretty good. So that square tubing will form the bottom of that arch and give it some strength. And it fits in here. like that. So that's pretty close to what the original arch looked like. And then I got some round tubing here that I'm going to weld across this point where you see there's kind of a flare out, and I'm going to use this tubing to form that outside radius, and that'll again will give us some strength in that area and give us something to weld the sheet metal to. So between this tube, top tube and bottom tube, there will just be some sheet metal that's put in there. And then the last piece is this curve right here. And I thought the easiest thing to do with that, since I don't have any way to bend metal very well, is I have this old gas tank, and it has a nice curved section there. And so I think I'll be able to just cut strips like that, 2 strips out of there, one for each side of the car here, and use those to fill that area in. So hopefully all that comes together and looks like something when I'm done with it. So then just working our way around here, the hood leaning up here, you can see looking down there, it's got a pretty good dent right in the middle of it. So I'm gonna put a big piece of angle iron across there and try to get that some strength and straighten that out. And then over here, looking down across the top of the back of the bed, you see a bunch of body filler there. There was just a crazy amount of holes drilled in the top of the bed here, and various tops over the year had been installed, so you wouldn't know it, but there was a lot of holes there that got filled in. And so that work's all been done. And then looking at this point here, this is one of the bolt-on places where you mount the body to the chassis. And a lot of those areas were rusty. That was always a place where water could get in and cause damage. So that area under there was all rusty. So that's been cut out and replaced with new steel there. And then working our way over to the driver's side, there's another wheel well that needs replaced. And on the driver's side rocker, I've got the rocker cut out and the new rocker is ready to install. There was some rust in this area, so that's new steel there that's been replaced. And that area has been cleaned up and sealed, and that new rocker will get installed. And then up here, the driver floor pan was rusted out, so that's been replaced. And then you can see here a modification to the transmission tunnel. We're moving the steering column shifter down to the floor and installing a Hurst 3-speed shifter. So to do that, you need to cut this area out and replace that with this store-bought piece of metal that gives an opening for the shifter. So there will be the transfer case shifter and then the 3-speed transmission shift there. So then working our way over here to the front here, take a look inside the engine bay. And so in this corner there was some rust, and there was some areas where water just seemed to get trapped, and leaves and debris. And so I've sort of installed some sheet metal there and smoothed that out and sort of prevented those areas from accumulating water anymore. And then this is that corner where we started, where there was a big dent, and it had torn up these what are called core supports. These mount here and give some strength to the front end, but it had twisted those up and damaged them beyond repair. So I've got a couple of those to install there, and then there's a battery tray that sits on top of those, and that's where the battery sits. So that work has to be done yet. And at the end of the day, we're just about done with the engine compartment. So that's where we are right now, and hopefully in a couple weeks, it'll start to get covered in orange paint and you won't even see any of that work anymore. That's the goal anyway. So thanks for watching.